B1, rotate.
Hello and welcome to another Kerbal Space Program video. Today I'm going to be adding a new module to my Skylab station using a Mark II space shuttle, but this isn't a space shuttle. Yet, that's right. Skylab only has one docking port at the moment, and the Apollo spacecraft was currently docked to it. So just shifting that out of the way now, quite sped up since I don't want to spend too much time on this part of the video, so just warping to a place where we'll be able to deorbit, land in the ocean. So there we go, and we've decoupled. So I am using that parachute round. You'll see how that works. If you notice on the left hand side of the screen, there's the parachute icon in the staging bit, and that's before the parachute. So after we finish re-entering, which just started now, I'll pop that out and deploy the parachutes so we can gracefully-ish splash down into the ocean just past the KSC. So start to hear the re-entry sound, a little explosion from our service module. We'll notice we've only got two Kerbals on board. It's because I've left the pilot Kerbal back on board the station after the person suggested Skylab. And there we go, parachutes are out. As I said, very quick, currently playing this at about 2 times real speed. Here we go, descending nicely. Accidentally just pressed the A button to deploy another stage. That's because I was watching a video on YouTube at the time, and there we go, splash down. And now just going to warp round, so the Skylab station is just past that peninsula to the west of the continent the KSC sits on, about there, and here is our shuttle. It's a Mark II space shuttle using a vector engine on the external tank made out of the 2.5 metre pieces, 2 kickback SRBs, and an aerospike on the shuttle itself. Really like the aerospike because it means that we can have a somewhat... We can have quite good efficiency in both atmosphere and vacuum. There we go, that's what I was trying to say. Completely lost it today. So our external tank should be reusable, however it can be a bit iffy on whether it wants to. And there we go, SRB flame out, and we've detached them, so they'll fall back to Kerbin and land in the ocean. So we are ahead of the space station, so what I'm going to do is put us in a slightly higher orbit so the station will catch up with us. The payload we've got today isn't anything too big. It's a small docking adapter made up of a regular sized docking port, so pretty much everything else I have can dock to it, as well as the inflatable airlock, because if you didn't know, the inflatable airlocks also act as a junior docking port. This is so I can dock it to Skylab for now, and then when I've got another module up, I can relocate it to another regular sized port and act as an airlock, so Kerbals can do EVA. So the inflatable airlock was added in the Making History update. I need to say Making Ground there. Yeah, Making History DLC, sorry. Coinciding with the 1.4 update. Got some lovely music coming in here. And the music that you're hearing isn't actually from the game directly. It is the same music used and in the same context, but a lot of the clips are sped up, so the music sounds really weird. So what I've done is superimposed the music back in at normal speed. I just have a .wav file with all the KSP, well, not all of it, with some of the KSP music in. So doing our orbital insertion burn here isn't too big, although it can be a bit difficult with the shuttle, since as the fuel drains from the external tank, our centre of mass moves closer to the shuttle, and that aerospike doesn't have gimbal. I am thinking about trying to make a gimbal mount for the aerospike using one of the braking ground hinges, and there we go, detached from the booster. Normally that booster would then do a re-entry burn and land somewhere, but I didn't bother because I had a feeling it wouldn't work. So we've got a few Kerbals on board. We've got our 2 pilots, possibly, I'm not too sure. Let's have a look. Oh, we've got Jeb and that Bill, and then we've got someone else as well. I can't actually see the Kerbal names because of the resolution. I set the playback resolution quite low when recording voiceovers because I don't have a particularly strong computer. I mean, 4 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM isn't that good. I mean, it can definitely be better, but I pretty much only use this for recording and editing. As I said in the last video, I use an Xbox One S all digital for the actual Kerbal Space program. I might release a video on what I do to record and edit. It's a bit of a janky process. Yeah, getting closer to the station. We also have a hinge in our cargo bay, so we can get the payload out before decoupling it, so it's not bouncing around in the payload bay. Although I just detached the docking port for this mission, as you're going to see shortly. So basically what I'm doing to get closer is killing off our relative velocity by pointing retrograde relative to the target, then burning towards the target and rinse and repeat until you get close enough. It isn't the most efficient way of docking, but it works and it's relatively easy. Again, I might release a docking tutorial. So, like, how I go about rendezvousing and docking. If that's something you'd like to see, leave a comment. And if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss a video. And here we go. Our payload is being deployed. And there we go. Detaching. So, be setting that docking port as our target and pointing towards said target. And there we go, spinning around. And there we go. Decided to actually dock the adapter to the shuttle and then dock the whole thing, because I just thought it'd be easier. So we're coming towards the docking adapter now. Docking using the Mark II inline clampetron. I really like working that into Mark II space planes because it looks really cool. Although it does make it a bit more challenging to dock, as the SAS doesn't always keep it on that target reticule, so I align it manually using the rotation bit on the docking thing. You don't need that docking window open. You can do the translation RCS by holding down the right button on Xbox, which again, not too sure what it is on PlayStation. I don't use a PlayStation. I really should have conversion bits. But, you know, it's the one above the trigger on the right. I'm sure it's easy enough to understand. I mean, if you somehow manage to find this video, I'm sure you can find that button on your controller. And of course, for PC players, you have it a lot easier because you have a whole shed load of buttons at your disposal. Slightly jealous, although I do have KSP on PC, but as I mentioned, my computer isn't particularly good, so I play it on console. Plus, a lot of PC players who try console say it's quite hard. I don't find it particularly challenging compared to playing on PC. Well, I enjoy not having all the mods available like MechJab, which can sometimes be a bit cheaty. And you can see on the right hand side of the screen I don't have any mods installed. Although, given the option, I would like certain visual mods. One that I quite like for PC is Waterfall, which enhances the engine plumes. It looks beautiful. And here we are approaching the station. Also, Parallax stock planet textures looks really good as well. That adds more. Well, not adds more, but it makes the surfaces of the planets look a whole lot better than they normally do. I know Squad have been slowly rolling out updates on planets. Here we are leaving the station. So only a small module, although I am working on a video bringing a bit of a bigger module to the station. So there is the Console KSP Facebook group, and I put a post out on there asking what people would like to see. And by far the most favourite mission that people wanted to see was expanding Skylab. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. The next biggest one was, let's see, a Moho surface base. I've not been to Moho before, so that could be entertaining. Yeah. So this is the Space Shuttle Valkyrie Mark II Space Shuttle, in case you somehow haven't noticed. And what I want to also do is video using a Mark III shuttle that I have, Space Shuttle Odyssey. Here we are starting our re-entry. There we go. A little bit of fire on the RCS thrusters, and you can hear the sound of the sounds of re-entry. So there really isn't much to talk about. The Mark II cockpit does get rather toasty. I do have a radiator mounted underneath, which helps dissipate some of the heat. So on previous missions that I did when testing this craft, I didn't have that radiator, and the cockpit would get far too warm for my liking. It would get close to the point where it would explode. So far, that's not happened yet, and you can see that temperature gauge coming up at the front. It doesn't look particularly nice. Temperature gauges coming up on the rest of the craft. Nothing explodes, I think. The things I'm most worried about is that Mark II cockpit, and possibly the canards that you have in front that help bring the nose up. Again, like adding them to Mark II craft because they look really cool. And we also have an air brake at the back, which helps reduce our airspeed coming into land. Because again, when testing it, we're coming to land at about 200 meters per second, which, yeah, it's a tad fast. I'd have to do quite a few S-turns to try and bleed off speed. So I decided to add that air brake in so I could stick going bang on towards the runway, and look at how the Kerbals inside the plasma rushing past the windows. They seem to be having a whale of a time. Yeah, I can stay pointing at the runway and then use the air brake to manage my speed. See me periodically checking the map view. I like to make sure that our orbit line, if that's the right word for it, is ahead of the Kerbal Space Center, because it means that, yes, we have too much velocity, but it's a lot easier to get rid of velocity than add more. Although in the bottom left of the screen you will notice that we do have quite a lot of fuel remaining. So if needed I could use that aerospike to push us out a bit further, which sometimes I do if I think we're not going to make it. You can see we're starting to bleed off that plasma. And we're now flying supersonic rather than hypersonic. And you can hear the air rushing past. We're at is that 5,000 meters? Yeah, going through 4,000 meters. We've also got a pair of parachutes on the back that further help us slow down to an overrun the runway. You can see the cockpit to the front is glowing, which is probably not the best. I'm sure Jeb and maybe Bill, if that is the right Kerbal, put it this way, their tea would not be getting cold. Or coffee, or Bovril. If any of you know what that is, leave a comment, because I don't. Apart from the code name of a World War II spy. Yeah, coming towards the runway, got a steady descent path. Going to do a flare, just pitching up at the last minute to break that descent so I don't slam into the runway. And here we go, something that airliners and the NASA Space Shuttle did. Touchdown, so deploying those parachutes there, which helps slow us down. Do see that we start to skid off the runway because KSP wheels. And that brings us to the end of the video, so thank you for watching, goodbye.
Okay, engine stop.